A god that you pledged a blood oath to just tricked you into killing your family. Do you keep working for him, or face the 3 ruthless vigilante sisters that come after the oathbreakers like you? Hey guys, I'm Yusef for Video Game Plot Summaries, and this is God of War Ascension. So real quick, I don't do game reviews anymore, so I will say whether or not the game is worth playing, and why, as fast as I can. After the summary, I will talk candidly about the plot. But I've got opinions, dang it. Anyway, of course it's worth playing. It's God of War. However, there are really long stretches of time when you aren't doing much but looking at backgrounds and stepping on bugs. This was because the story wasn't long enough and the enemies had to make sense for some reason. Seriously, they could have made an excuse to have more challenging fun to kill bad guys in a lot of these sections, but they chose to just keep annoying you with bugs. And I mean, you'll understand why as I tell the story, but it's just, you know, why do that? Anyway, let's go to the story. In the first God of War for PS2, the protagonist Kratos is tricked into killing his family by Ares, then later starts working for the goddess Athena. This game covers what happened immediately after he broke his blood oath with Ares. The game starts off explaining that there are 3 sisters called the 3 Furies whose only job is to deal with those who break their blood oaths. The first to feel the fury of the Furies was the titan named Aegeon Hecatoncheires. Hecatoncheires means 100 hands. Aegeon had an oath with Zeus that he broke. Once he broke the blood oath, the Furies relentlessly hunted him down, tortured him, and chained him up for eternity. Now it's Kratos' turn. After breaking the blood oath with Ares for tricking him into killing his family, Kratos had a moment of dark depression, which made it very easy for him to be captured by the 3 Furies. Now we see Kratos chained by his Chaos Blades being confronted by a spider lady named Megara, who is missing an arm. She is really pissed at Kratos for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it has something to do with her arm being missing. She's pissed that her sister interrupted the talk that her and Kratos were having, but I'm pretty sure her sister did her a favor. Megara has this crazy power. She has parasitic insects that reside inside her body. They come out of her chest and assimilate with any living thing they desire. Then these things are under Megara's control. It's super gross. Anyway, she's back to finish the job, but as Kratos has done so many times, he uses his stone-cold demeanor and battle skills to free himself quite easily. When Kratos gets a hold of his Chaos Blades and starts to rip her apart, she scurries out of there. That's what spiders do, right? Scurry? Scamper? Let me pause right here to complain about games like this one. One of the things I hate about these games is that they take these models of beautiful, sexy women and then they turn them into monsters on all the parts that aren't sexy. Like, everything that has to do with the torso and the face is reasonable, but then all of a sudden they have claw arms or some sort of jacked up crazy looking faces but a regular beautiful body. It's all so confusing. I know I'm not the only one who sees these designs and judges their own sanity on how far the ugly has to go before you wouldn't smash. It's like, bro, I don't discriminate. I don't care if she has snakes for hair and slithers around on a tail. She's still better looking than the women I normally get, huh? I met her on the internet. I know I'm crazy for saying that, but I am sure that it's not just me. So Kratos had some jewel that she took from him while he was chained up, and he wants it back. You know how Kratos is. He follows her and kills all of Megara's insecta zombies until she is fed up and sends her bugs into a hand statue. Talking about,
"We will see how you fare against the Hecatoncheires."
wait, what? Those bugs go straight into that hand and turn it into a huge crazy insect zombie. You know, Kratos is unstoppable and he destroys that thing. Hey, Megara, where you going? So as Kratos chases Maggie through the prison, it becomes more and more evident that the prison is actually the Hecatoncheires. They built extra cages inside him so he can house all the other Oathbreakers. The game said they were cruel, but goodness gracious. Eventually, Kratos makes it to the top of the Hecatoncheires and follows Maggie into a hut that is filled with naked women that all want to give Kratos some nook. Then, one in particular comes to him and tells him that she's the best sexy time lady that the whole hut of sexy time ladies has to offer. She grabs his hand and starts to lead him towards the bed when Kratos sees the ring on her finger and realizes it's Tisiphone who makes illusions. All her illusions are strung together with one consistency though. The ring she always has on cannot be erased. She never seems to try to hide it either. And Kratos is such a meathead, he almost always falls for it. He's like, "I was chasing a very ugly spider woman with parasitic insects that reside in her body, but I think I have a little time for a brothel and a jail on top of a Hecatoncheires. It makes absolute sense." Anyway, once Kratos recognizes the ring, he immediately tries to kill Tisiphone, but is interrupted quickly by Maggie, who wants the kill. They both dive through a wall and into a platform that comes out of the mouth of the actual Hecatoncheires. Maggie uses her insects to take over the Hecatoncheires' face and turn it into some ugly spider-mouth monster. I mean, they did a good job with the insect gross-out factor in these first couple of stages. The way the insects burrow into the Hecatoncheires' eyes gives me daymares. And Kratos somehow uses one of the infected Hecatoncheires' hands to battle the infected Hecatoncheires' face, and eventually makes his way up to Maggie to quickly finish what he started when he just freed himself. After Maggie's death, he claims an amulet on her person as the prize, and we get a flashback that explains what the amulet actually is. So after he killed his family, Kratos breaks his oath to Ares and goes into a deep depression. So now the Furies hunt Kratos. Tisiphone laces Kratos' mind with illusions that his family is still alive, so Kratos will stay in one place as the Furies travel to get to him. Kratos is such a meathead. So while Kratos is still sitting there confused, thinking he's in paradise with his wife, a messenger appears and informs Kratos that his mind is being controlled with illusions and reminds him that he killed his own family. Then he gives Kratos a couple of family mementos to help him remember what he's done, because his mind is so feeble at this point that any illusion will confuse him. Before the messenger leaves to try and lead the Furies away, he tells Kratos to go find the Oracle in Delphi so that he will know the truth. So Kratos solves the huge snake puzzle to get inside, kills the lion bat scorpion guardian, and wanders through a huge deserted temple, only to find that there is some hunchback guy in the Oracle's temple who is making slaves decorate the temple with statues of himself. He's a real angry jerk, but he seems to have the key to the Oracle's personal chamber. Kratos solves all the time puzzles to operate the elevator that leads to the Oracle's room, where he finds the jerk, telling him to leave his offering there, and he will decide if it's good enough for Alethea, the Oracle. Kratos is like,
I have come to see the Oracle, and that is what I intend to do.
Dude tries to sick his slave security on him, but Kratos gives him that "you know I will rip you apart" look. When the slaves run in terror, the hunchback jerk reveals that his amulet, the one before the flashback, has the power to control time by making himself young. Also, he is they. It's Siamese twins. They try to stop Kratos by decaying the walkway that leads to the Oracle. Of course it doesn't work. When Kratos gets close enough, he sees that the Oracle's eyes have been taken. That is when Kratos and the now named caster square off. And Kratos knocks out the able-bodied one, and then he trashes the body-sharing one until they get mad and decay the Oracle's platform, and she falls into the abyss. Well, that ticks Kratos off, and he smashes Castor through the floor, and during the fall into the abyss, he separates the twins. The able-bodied one is dead, but the body-sharing one is still crawling. Kratos steps up on him and takes the amulet of Ouroboros. After this, he goes to see the mostly dead Oracle, and she confirms that he killed his family and broke the oath with Ares. She also tells him that the messenger from before was Orcos, one of the Furies. Kratos dropped his keepsakes when he was captured, and that's how Orcos got them back to Kratos earlier in the flashback. Kratos asks her how he can stop the Furies when his mind is plagued with illusions. She tells him,
Across the sea, the lantern of Delos keeps the eyes of truth.
Delos.
Find the eyes, and they will show you the path to freedom.
So Kratos takes his amulet and heads for the harbor. When he gets there, Orcos is waiting for him. Kratos asks Orcos why he is betraying the Furies, and he says it's the way they treated Kratos. You see, Ares wanted a super warrior before, so he figured he would bone the Queen Fury and have a powerful kid. But what came out was Orcos. Now, to be fair, with the right training, Orcos would be a ridiculously dope assassin. I mean, he can travel anywhere in the blink of an eye. There isn't potential in that? Anyway, if there was, Ares didn't see it, so before he killed his own son, the Furies, apparently all three of them are his mothers, found a job for him as the Oath Keeper. So when you make an oath with a god, a bit of your soul gets put into a yellow crystal, I guess, and burned into Orcos. When Orcos thought Kratos' broken oath story seemed kind of fishy, he asked the Oracle about it. She told him about Ares planning to overthrow Athena and blah 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 flashback plot of God of War 1. Well, most of the flashback plot, because Kratos is such a meathead, he thinks he can successfully block out in his head the fact that he murdered his family. He'd be like,
The past is the past, Orcos.
and then he gives people that "say one more Mickey Ficky word" face. I can never get over how determined he is to act like it didn't happen. Like in the first one, when that woman was all like, "I know what you did last summer, stay the hell away from me." And then he's all like, "Wait, what did I do? Oh, she's dead." So weird. Anyway, so Kratos sets sail for Delos. So, back to the present day with the amulet of Ouroboros back in his possession, Kratos pushes forward and ends up in a hall with Spartan warriors and a king. The king praises Kratos on his success and awards him with some sort of crazy sword. But just as the king is holding out the sword for presentation, Kratos sees that dumb ring again. I'm sorry, but that ring is huge. Not just for a woman, but for a man too. I don't think the game ever addresses why she always has to wear that darn thing in plain sight. It is laughably gaudy. Anyway, Kratos puts 2 and 2 together like some sort of meathead. I mean, his eyes dart all over the place like, where have I seen that ring before? Oh yeah! Then Kratos gets all Leonidas on the king and front kicks him off the platform. For Sparta! Surprise! It's Tisiphone. She rags on him for his ambition and flies away. Which I love because Kratos is dumb. And she's using these big words on him. He's just thinking, gonna kill you good next time. He works his way back up the Hecatoncheires to a gate when he is confronted by Alecto, the third Fury. And she attacks him with some sort of bird monster ghost, and in the scuffle, Kratos yanks out another special trinket. Alecto is all mad she got outsmarted by a meathead and says,
It matters not that you have my son's toy. It is your heart that will betray you.
Then she flies off in a huff. Kratos is just like, gonna kill you good too. 3 weeks earlier, Kratos makes it to the cursed island of Delos. It's a statue of Apollo, but it's all beat up. The captain of the ship drops him off like a bad dad who is late for work. Kratos takes like 30 steps and witnesses the ship he came in get decimated by a giant hydra. And Kratos' task is to get the eyes of truth so that Tisiphone's illusions don't mess him up anymore. To do that, Kratos must fix Apollo's statue, which holds those eyes in a lantern that is underwater. With the amulet of Ouroboros, Kratos goes up and around the statue, turning back time on the pieces that were broken. He finally gets to the gauntlet of Apollo, and another illusion pops up on him. This time, Kratos is confronted with a Spartan general that tells him they need him in Sparta and he should come home. But Kratos is slightly smarter and holds on to his keepsakes, which remind him that this thing is an illusion. Not the fact that the illusion loaded right in front of his frickin' face. So Kratos tells the soldier that it's not real, and that's when Alecto and Megara show up to fight with the Spartan army illusion. But Kratos chops up the Spartan army and then chops off Maggie's arm. That's 2 armies in one fight. Before Kratos can kill Maggie, though, she is saved by Alecto's "you like the arm" thing, don't you? I'm sorry, I feel clever. I feel clever with that armies joke. I like it. Anyway. Before Kratos can kill Maggie, though, she is saved by Alecto's buff soul bird, now named Damon. Alecto and Damon then step to Kratos ready to fight and get handled. But right before Alecto gets killed, Maggie shows up, so now it's 2-on-1 and the odds are still in Kratos' favor. After Kratos throws Maggie off the side, he goes straight ham on Alecto. As he is doing so, the Hydra that destroyed the ship that brought Kratos starts pulling this huge lantern down into the water. Kratos doesn't bat an eye as he finishes Alecto off by beating her heinously and shoving her onto a random spike. Actually, I felt a little messed up about this because the game's devs go so far as to have you quick time a beating of a pretty woman. Like, I gotta move the controller to make this happen. I'm not very comfortable with that. Anyway, after that, Tisiphone pops out and nails him with some black goo, and that freezes him in place. She's all like,
Return to your rightful place. Perhaps, if you serve your purpose well, you will even end up on Olympus one day.
And Kratos is like, "This dude tricked me into killing my family. That's a wrap for our business relationship." Then Alecto pops out laughing like, "I ain't really dead." And then Maggie pops out all mad because she really did lose her arm. Tisiphone holds her back though, like, "Let's not lose both arms in one day." And she moves towards Kratos and Orcos shows up. Tisiphone takes one look at Orcos and says, "You hanging out with bitch-ass dudes now, Kratos? I thought you were an alpha male." Orcos looks at her like, "Thanks, Mom," and uses a substitution jutsu to escape with Kratos. When they're alone, Orcos gives Kratos his Oath Stone, which allows that substitution jutsu clone trick. Then he tells Kratos that he's got to find a new way to get to the lantern that holds the Eyes of Truth. So Kratos continues to put Apollo back together. He starts the furnace that creates a light, fixes the arm so that the lantern is back up in the air, and gets the head up with the lights going through the eyes. From there, he hitches a ride from a random bat beast that comes flying by to get into the lantern. What the hell is that thing doing there anyway? Inside the lantern, he sees the Eyes of Truth. Orcos then appears and tells the story about him and the Oracle from earlier, Aletheia, tried to warn Zeus about the vision of the god of war bringing down the walls of Olympus. They were of course intercepted by the Furies, and the Oracle's eyes were ripped out from the sockets and placed in the lantern that Kratos is in now. So that's nice. Kratos goes through all the trials and finally opens his way to get to the Eyes of Truth. But, like they have done in all the flashbacks, the Furies were one step ahead and waiting to ambush Kratos. They already got Orcos, who tried to warn him. Now they need Kratos. I could explain this part, but it's easier to show it.
All this effort and you still fail. Come, sisters. We will break him within the walls of Hecatoncheires.
So then they take Kratos to the Hecatoncheires and relieve him also of the Amulet of Ouroboros, which automatically brings us right back to the beginning of the game. Thank goodness. These flashbacks are kind of disorienting. Now, in present day though, Kratos has two of the three trinkets. The Amulet of Ouroboros that he got back from Megara, and the Oath Stone of Orcos that he got back from Alectos. He is still missing the Eyes of Truth. Now, Kratos moves along his way and ends up in another meathead illusion. This time, instead of playing at Kratos' lust or his ambition, Tisiphone plays at his dead family. Truthfully, I feel like Tisiphone just wants to bone Kratos to have a better kid. And 2 out of 3 of the illusions look like they would end in Kratos pounding cakes with her. Anyway, Kratos is about to pound cakes with what he thinks is his wife, and realizes the ring and quits. What does she have to do to get laid? So after Kratos' refusal, Tisiphone lunges at him, and Kratos uses the substitution jutsu to sidestep the lunge and steal the Eyes of Truth back. She's all like,
What is the meaning of this?
which is one of my favorite all-time phrases because it doesn't make any sense to me. It's one thing that I ask what something is, but it's another thing to ask why it exists. And it's always a rhetorical question, so you never get an answer so you can understand the context of the question. In this case, where's the confusion of what the meaning is? Kratos just took back the eyes of truth because he's tired of your stupid illusions. That is the only conclusion to be drawn. It's such a weird phrase. So now that the illusions are pointless, the two remaining Furies have to finally throw down. Tisiphone finally breaks down and changes to her final form, which I might add, takes a while and doesn't look too comfortable. Kratos gets thrown around in the water until he's so annoying to Tisiphone that she throws his butt on a platform so Alecto can help. My question is, did Ares have sex with the female covered in gooey ink or the teethy octopus? Either way, it's kinda gross. So that's the game summary. Here's the ending. Got it. They changed the prompt on it. I was ready for it. So let's go ahead and continue to open up.
Shame, Sparta, Oathbreaker.
You bring this curse on yourself.
You are not fit to be called a Spartan. I lost everything because of you!
They were not there by chance, Kratos.
You think you want truth, but truth will only bring you pain! My death will not free you from this madness!
I would not have been strong enough to choose your path, Spartan.
Orcos,
I would have taken what my mother's offered.
I would rather live in truth.
I fear you may come to regret those words. Lord Ares still holds your bond.
This cannot be.
Before you killed them, my mother's once again made me your Oathkeeper. For you to be free, I must die by your hand.
I do not understand.
If you do not release me, my father will retain power over you, but even worse, I will live in eternal torture.
I have spilled enough innocent blood.
There is no other way, Spartan. Destroy the Oath. Kill Ares. Have your revenge. I was never the warrior my father wanted me to be. But please, all I ask, give me an honorable death.
With the death of Orcos, the blood oath to Ares was finally broken, and the painful truth rushed back to Kratos' mind. The truth of the murder he committed, the slaughter of his wife and child, the carnage forged from his relentless ambition, surfaced in perfect clarity, and became the visions that would haunt him all of his days. Now free of the Furies' madness, but still tortured by the truth of his past, Kratos left the only home he'd ever known, and set out to undo all that he had wrought.
All right, so that's God of War Ascension. I actually had a slight issue. I was a little confused because I was going to play God of War 1, 2, 3 and then do all the special stuff till I found out that the extra episodes were just kind of shoved in there at some point to make up for big gaps in Kratos' mind. I actually think it's pretty dope. I couldn't find the any fault within the Ascension's plot line, you know, as compared to the first story. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, even though a different studio did the plot, I think they did a pretty good job of melding it together with the original one. I didn't really care for the structure of the story being like almost identical to Kratos' structure in the God of War 1, where it's just a bunch of damn flashbacks to justify what he's doing now and all of that. It's too much. It's too hard to piece together the stories when two of them are running, you know, at the same time. Well, I mean, at the same time, meaning they bounce back and forth over and over again. It's a little bit much. Yeah. Also, Electo, she could get it for real. I was so conflicted when the controllers, you know, the game is making me use my controller to beat her up. I'm like, I mean, she's slim pickings, you know. Kratos' wife is dead. Now, in the first one, he got a chance. He was just boning whores or whatever, like in the bed. you know, just getting it in, and then like on his way to Athens, you know. But in this one, there's no boning whores. I'm just like waking up stuck to the side, and what do I gotta choose from? Two pretty girls, and one woman that looks like she'd be fun, but she's a spider, right? you gotta wonder, you know, people or humanoid sort of things that have all these extra limbs. What would they be like? You know what I mean? And like what kind of rituals do you have if you got some big ass wings? 'Cause you can't, you know, we wouldn't be able to do anything on my bed. I mean, do you guys, you know, like screw in the air or you know, just have a fear of being dropped if somebody, you know, hits the top of their altitude, I'll say, or do you guys just like do it in a regular bed? Just you know, the one with the wings is always on top, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. You look at a spider lady and you're like, that's pretty gross. But I mean, like, you know, if there was a really hot one. So you rule out the spider lady with the bugs coming out of her boobs, which is gross. I don't need none of that in my life. It'd be like having roaches rolling up on you. And you know, you got the pretty girl who controls the soul bird, and the pretty lady with the goo all over her body. And you see that the gooey lady turns into some toothy kraken looking thing, and you're just like, oh well, I guess we're down to the chick with the flying bird stuff, you know. Then Kratos is so mad, he's like stabbing her through the spike and then beating her up, and it's just like, whoa. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. This is like one of those movies where they present a girl who's not really that good looking, but because there's no other women in the movie, you automatically believe that she's the best looking, like the hottest looking girl on the planet. You know what I mean? You just like forced to believe, you know. Oh, she's so hot. Oh my God, she's so hot. And you realize there's no comparisons, you know. So anyway, I've talked too much. I'm an idiot. All right, guys, that's the end. Hope you enjoyed this one. Now that I've finished this, I'll have to move on to God of War 2. After having played 2 God of Wars, I'm starting to be aware of this formula where they do the flashbacks and stuff like that. I really hope that it's not like that in the second one or in any of the other God of Wars. They just give us a linear story that we can kill people, solve puzzles, and then figure the next thing out in the story, as opposed to just keep throwing us backwards. I'm pretty aware that they don't have us play any other characters in God of War, so that would kind of kill the dumb flashbacks where you're like, oh, I'm a girl now. So hopefully that's what it is. They just move it forward, because I'm worn out by the flashbacks. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and until next time, peace.